Hi everyone, welcome to Martech Brain, a Netcore initiative. Today we have Veer Bothra. We're going to discuss the past, present and future of Martech. And there is no better person than Veer today to talk to us about this. Veer has seen the evolution right from the early days of the mobility industry. He introduced me to Martech in 2014. We attended the Scott Brinker's first Martech conference in Boston in 2014. We went together for that. He drove the development of SmartTech in Netcore from 2014 onwards for many years. He's now on to something new and exciting. Couple of other passionate areas which Veer loves to think about are, of course, conversational analytics and AdTech, MarTech Bridge, but those are topics for another day. So welcome to Martech Brain, Veer.
Thank you, Rajesh bhai.
We'll take a deep dive. I think no better person than you to introduce us to the world of MarTech. Basically, it's been a decade since marketing technology has been around. So a quick overview really on the past, where we are in the present, and then what does the future hold? What do the 2020s hold in the world of MarTech? Over to you, Veer.
Yeah, it's been a very interesting 10 years, I would say, since when MarTech came into its own with large acquisitions around 8-9 years back in the space. And the realization that how technology is important for marketing, right? Because people understood digital marketing, but how marketing function uses technology in its day-to-day affairs in their ability to reach out to customers was something new, which was different from digital marketing. A lot of people initially found confusing between digital marketing technology, but how marketing is a function overall adopts technology in reaching out to customers and increasingly digital customers, right? Customers with digital devices spending most of the time of the day on digital devices and more so with the mobile phone. So in the last 10 years, if you see the journey, it started initially with a lot of emphasis on a campaign management. That means the ability to do email campaigns, SMS campaigns. Also, another aspect was to engage on-site customers, primarily website customers. So there were a lot of tools, experimentation tools, web engagement tools that were there. So that was the beginning of the MarTech, revolution, as I would say. And in the first 5 years of this 2010s decade, there was a lot of investment that went into the space. A lot of VC money went into the space. There were big winners that emerged out of it. And in the last 5 years, there's been consolidation. But what you're seeing is that the MarTech landscape, which is Scott Brinker's very famous collection of companies in the space, vendors, providers, that has only kept growing. Okay, so what it tells you is that although there was a great amount of VC interest in the beginning, it is not tapered down. Why? Because this is not something that was a fad that came and then now it is now fizzling out. On the contrary, if you study the evolution of MarTech, it has only grown stronger. Yes, now people have learned, they are wiser over the years on what works and what doesn't. And what we are seeing now going into 2020s is going to be very interesting. So 1 decade of MarTech and now what the future holds for MarTech, I think it's a good time to kind of analyze this and think about it. What I feel is that there were a lot of promises of MarTech, and those promises are something that no marketer would disagree with. Like when you talk about right message to the right person at the right time using the right channel, when you talk about personalization, I think those are things that are still very true today. But how close are we to that? Has MarTech delivered to those companies which have invested in them? I think overall, if you look at it, people are saying that MarTech is now part of the marketing function. The promises are definitely not something people would say that they have delivered fully as they were hoping, and there is some bit of doubt that has crept in people's mind whether these technologies indeed benefit, in terms of compared with the kind of investment of time and efforts it takes. So people are now being much more cautious in terms of what they buy and what they implement. So the buyer has only become much more, I would say, uh, informed buyer. Okay, in the last decade, the buyer is definitely not circumspect about Martech, because Martech delivers. There are a lot of success stories around that, and that is, I would say, that that's the first 10 years of Martech, that yes, the people became aware about the need of Martech. People invested in Martech. The returns were not as much as they thought that they would be. That is also that's also a fact. But the enthusiasm around Martech or the utility of Martech has not diminished in the mind of marketers. That is also a reality. So that's, I think, the last 10 years.
So Veer, if we think about where we are today, it's really that we have, of course, the big players like Adobe, Salesforce, Oracle. But then you also have these massively large number of companies in the space, all looking at different aspects of the marketing problems which are being solved by technology. And just to put this in context, I think what we are really talking about is that the marketing function really in this case is starting with the arrival of either a prospect or a customer on a website. So we are dealing with really some PII information out here, unlike in the world of ad tech where you're looking at acquisition. So here it's about prospecting, it's about engagement, it's about retention, it's about maximizing the lifetime spend of the customer. And that promise is probably being further driven by the fact that there is a very sharp now shift, especially because of COVID, towards the digital customer. Is that a good way to sort of summarize where we are today?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's the best starting point for the 2020s. I would say that COVID has really led to digitization of economy, of functions, and there's no doubt about that. So with a customer who is increasingly spending more time, even time to study, time to work on digital devices, so the relevance of digital marketing or marketing technologies even going to be more in 2020. So you're absolutely right on that as well. The question is that when people look at MarTech, okay, are they looking at a necessity, or are they looking at it as something that would be nice to have? I think in the last 10 years, the journey that MarTech has covered is that it has become from a good to have, nice to have, to something which is essential. Today, without a marketing technology stack, any brand would not be able to survive. So that is the big change, and even more so with COVID, the importance of having a MarTech stack within the company is even more so.
Yeah, I just have one point. It'll be good to just summarize what the current typical MarTech stack looks for in companies.
Sure.
Today, because that will then serve as a good foundation for us to build what to expect going forward.
Definitely. So the MarTech stack, although it should start from bottom to up, I think the best way to understand a MarTech stack is from top to bottom. So on the top, you would imagine there are channels. So the first thing in the MarTech stack is the channels with the customers, the interfaces. So whether it is your website, which are your own properties, primarily MarTech works with own properties. So which is your website or your application, or push marketing channels like email, SMS, app notifications, web notifications. So there are these interfacing channels with the customers. From the so there is a first layer is software or technology which helps you communicate with those customers through those channels. So that is the first thing in the MarTech stack. After that, once the customer starts interacting with you on those channels, there is data, that is the interaction data that gets generated. So there is a event processing software, or what is called as customer journey orchestration software that comes in. That is the second layer within SmartTech. So first layer is about actual interfacing. Second is the underlying orchestration layer, which helps you do that interfacing, whether in real time or through offline campaigns. That is the second layer. That's the orchestration layer. Below that is where there is the analytics layer. So which is where We would look at various types of analytics that would come in, and we'll come to that part in a little bit of detail. And below that is the data layer, which typically in the MarTech stack, the best way to visualize the data layer is through a CDP layer. So this is how we can look at the overall MarTech stack. The CDP on top of which analytics sit, on top of which the orchestration layer is there, and then the customer interfacing channels technologies come.
Yeah, so I think this serves as this is sort of the state of the art today, the present day stack, which typically any B2C company would have, any consumer facing company would have. So now let's look forward. How are each of these components changing? How is MarTech evolving going forward?
So I think the first 10 years of MarTech was about the promise and people agreeing that the promise is something that is essential and it's not a nice to have. And there are a lot of experiments around that companies and brands have done. But it also was about a lot of buzzwords like personalization, hyper personalization, journeys, customer journey mapping. So there were a lot of these buzzwords that were there. But I think the most essential part of technology is, and especially MarTech, is that does it deliver on business goals, and can you attribute the business objectives that have been fulfilled back to your MarTech investments. So that is something that I think a lot of marketers are today struggling with, because what works with a brute force spray and pray kind of approach to things versus a nuanced systemic thinking kind of approach to MarTech, building a MarTech stack, is something I think that is the biggest transition that still needs to happen within companies. We are not there yet because the problem with the MarTech stack is that it is not a technology solution alone. And that means you cannot just buy. So there are two ways to do it: either best of breed or an integrated suite. A lot of companies today prefer an integrated suite because that gives them the freedom to really deal with only one vendor. So large companies tend to sometimes do that. But there is another set of marketers who would say that I would like the best of breeds. And in both the cases, a lot of times the emphasis is on vendors, technology, purchase, vendor evaluation, and that's the right thing to do. But the biggest problem is integration between this varied set of technologies that are there. So even the large companies which claim to have an integrated suite is basically have come through because of a lot of acquisitions. So they don't necessarily work very well together. I think the problem is not technology and technology integration. It is actually about data integration and then trying that those data points back to business objectives. So that is where the second biggest problem lies. And the third is, of course, the talent which goes with it. So in all of this, when you look at a MarTech stack, the way you should look at, and sometimes I feel that they should call it MarTech system, because the way you have to really think about is that this is a multi-year project. Okay, this is a project which will have multiple technologies, multiple databases. Those will need to be integrated. The results will start kicking in, in a matter of quarters, not in a matter of months. So if you don't have systemic thinking in your organization, and that is why sometimes I feel that the CEO should be the partner of CMO and not just the CTO. In MarTech, typically what tends to happen is that the CTO is a partner of CMO because this is a technology initiative after all. But I feel there's another third aspect to it because of the systemic nature of the whole beast, that you have to have the CEO part of it, because this is a multi-year project. It requires cooperation of multiple departments, and that is why that aspect is sometimes lost on people. That is I feel the second problem. And the third problem definitely is the talent. A talent gap in the market is real, it's significant. Whether it is in terms of client side or agency side, there is a big gap, and that really prevents the realization of investments.
So if you think about it, really what you're saying is that the CEO at the CEO level
Mm-hmm.
The CEO needs to think of this as more like a digital transformation project. You're basically, and it's a digital transformation project which is not an internal facing, it's an external facing in part, because it's bringing the customer relationship. Every aspect of the customer relationship is coming into play. And that is what we need to transform. There are internal things which need to happen, and then also the customer facing elements which need to change.
Yeah, I think that's a very good parallel that you're drawing between Martech's stack or a Martech system implementation and digital transformation. That's the kind of parallel we need to keep in mind when really making investments into Martech. So yeah, that's the second side, bit of the problem. So it is the technologies are complex, no doubt about it. The integration of those technologies is one challenge, but the second challenge is data. And if you look at it, the last decade was about the promises. But if when we think about Martech, because there is a tech part of marketing, and what Scott Brinker calls as people who are there are marketing technologies, etc. Sometimes the focus tends to be on too much on the rational or logical side of things. Because if you think about it, marketing automation is like a machine driven thing, so it's completely logical. Okay, but marketing is not necessarily in that area, right? The marketer needs to be logical, but the customer is not necessarily making logical decisions, in the sense not rational decisions, right? So there is always this the play between rational versus emotional. So the customer is making rational as well as emotional decisions. So if you tend to overthink and give importance to automation and logical thinking, then sometimes you may be missing the 50% of the most other half, which is the most important part. But the customer is not really a rational decision maker alone. Most of his decisions are also based on subconscious emotional factors. So this is the other problem that Martech will need to solve in this coming decade. That you need to not overemphasize on AI or automation, which is what a lot of people are when they predict the future of Martech. They say it's about AI driven, and which is correct. But again, that would only cover half the part of it. That are you trying to second guess the customer? Because when we talk about data and analytics, which is the second, when we talk about the stack or when we talk about the problems, right now the data is there, but the data is fragmented, right? Still, that is a reality. There are so many tools, data is there in each of those different tools. Suppose you try to integrate that data and make a success of it through CDP. Okay, even after you make a success, which is a big challenge in itself, integrating data from different disparate sets of databases into a CDP. Suppose you make that you cross that big hurdle. After that, also the problem is going to be that all the analytic models that you're going to apply, okay, are not going to be able to predict the customer, because the customer's life is not predictable. What you really have to do, and that is my personal opinion, is marketers using a Martech stack needs to have a worldview of helping the buyer. Okay, that means you're not trying to guess what the customer is going to do, or don't be in that mode that I'm through my algorithms, through my machine learning, I'm going to be able to predict what this customer is going to do. Okay, that's only one part of that should be only one part of your thinking. The real thing should be that am I able to help the customer in her buying journey? Okay, so there are three things. There is a purchase decision. Am I helping the customer in the purchase decision? Okay, so recommendation, etc., needs to be looked at that way. And am I helping the customer in making the purchase decision, what to buy, etc.? Second thing is the customer journey should be looked at, that I'm able to nudge the customer during the journey, doing their buying journey. So make it customer centric rather than today it's all marketer centric. So helping the customer through in purchase decisions, nudging the customer in the buying journey. Okay, that's the role of automation and all the workflows that we talk about. Then the third is reducing friction of the buying process. Okay, so once the customer is there with you, how do you reduce friction? So I think in one of your blog posts you had written about can I do one-click buy, and can you learn? So if you change your view, and instead of marketer being very logical, marketer being very rational decision maker. Think about the customer. Start with the fact that the customer is going to be emotional plus rational in his decision making. B, I'm going to, all through my MarTech stack and all the technology that I'm going to have, I'm going to help the customer. I think then the stack will be able to work better. Is what one of my
I think
thesis.
you're giving, this is a great framework that you're giving, Veer. So one side is really the thinking of it from a transformation standpoint. It's a system. It's not a set of tools that you're just deploying.
Yes.
It's a multi-year journey in the marketing transformation process, one in which the CEO needs to be involved, work as a partner with the CMO. Okay, so that's sort of one thing. And the second is from a marketer standpoint. The marketer needs to think of this as as putting the customer first, rather than, okay, I want to get these things done. What does the customer want done? What are the jobs the customer want done?
Absolutely.
And can I, as the marketer, help the customer in that journey?
Through
so all the data
stack.
is there through my MarTech stack. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I think that's great. So that sort of lays the foundation for, I think, what we are going to see in the coming years. I think the bits and pieces, the tools, the stacks, elements are all there. But this is the decade where the promise of MarTech now will start delivering on the reality. And it will be a wonderful new world for customers, because as marketers start using all this information, I think customers will get more and more relevant messages and nudges at the right time.
Absolutely.
Great, Veer. So that was a great tour into the past and the future of MarTech. And as we come towards the end, these are my 5 questions, what I call the 5 ones. So quickly,
sure.
The one tech or technology or trend that really gets you excited.
So I think the biggest trend that really, I really go beyond the buzzword, and that I really think that is a very relevant trend, and not just a buzzword, is conversational interfaces. So I think that is the humanizing side of technology. Technology is now trying to get as human as possible. So that's really the goal of AI and everything else. So this really excites me, because what it does is all the computing and content that was available to people who learn how machines work is now available for the rest of us. So that's really something.
Great. And that's a topic which we'll keep for one of our future MarTech Brain sessions for sure. One technology or trend that has disappointed you with the way it's evolved in the past few years?
Yeah, so I think overall, if I look at this whole promise of integrating customer data and breaking out the silos, I think the pace at which it has evolved. We have been talking about these things for a very long time now, and I think it's high time that companies get that right. So now people talk about data hubs and CDPs. So essentially this idea about taking different data from different silos, connecting the dots, is something that I'm disappointed by the pace of its evolution.
Okay. One good book recommendation.
So it's an old one, and why I feel this is relevant for our topic also of the day is Scott Brinker's Hacking Marketing, because it lays out the stack. It lays out various things about how technology has evolved. So I was recently going through it after I think a couple of years, and it is still very relevant. The examples that are there in it. So I would strongly recommend that anybody who's thinking about implementing a MarTech stack does a read of that.
And the book also brings in the notion of agile marketing,
yes,
as one of the pillars of how to implement it. Great.
Yeah, so very relevant. Very relevant book.
Great recommendation. One person, podcast, website to recommend to people to follow?
Yeah, I think there are lots, but I like one particular podcast, which is We Study Billionaires. So We Study Billionaires. So that's a good podcast. They talk to different sorts of different people from different areas, walks of life, successful people. So you get a good view into their mind.
Great. So We Study Billionaires. Look that up. And my final question, what is one sort of driving belief that you hold in your life?
Yeah, so my driving belief is about relationships, and this is something that I feel that even it's applicable even in marketing. I think if marketers really think about building a relationship, all technologies, everything that they do is about building a relationship with the customer. Knowing the customer becomes part of it, right? The KYC part of it. I think that is something that I strongly believe in, and can be looked at it from a marketing point of view as well.
And thanks a lot, Veer. On that note, I think ours has been a wonderful relationship, has extended 20 plus years. I look forward to it and continue to learn from you, of course, going forward. Thanks a lot, everyone. This was Veer Bothra on Martech Brain, and we'll continue to have more episodes. So subscribe, follow us on whichever preferred channel you have, YouTube and all the podcast channels. Thank you very much. This is the Netcore presentation. Thank you.